So let's take a look at how we spell these chords. Let's go to the blueses. Let's take a look at at your PDF that will show you the basic harmonizations. If you haven't done that, be sure to do test number 2, right, Josh? Test number 2 is the thing. That's what you definitely want to get with, because test number 2 causes you to have to understand what the note numbers are in a chord formula. And there's, I don't know, what, 15, 20 chord symbols there. So it causes you to have to look stuff up in your text, in your e-text. Again, this is all available to you if you've got a above third level membership or your lifetime membership. You have access to all the information here, totally online, totally electronic. You don't even have to have a book. We toss the paper around in here like it's nothing, and it's important to have paper sometimes, but it's nice to have a Kindle or an e-book where you can just bring the stuff up and take a look at it while you're looking at the video. So we're going to go back to the blueses first. Let's go look at blues number 1 and see if we can spell the chord. And everybody's going to spell the chord. What the heck is that? Well, we're going to look at the chord. The first chord in blues number 1 is G13. Let's discuss why it's G13. Okay, rules of harmonization. Basic rules, there's 7 of them. A major triad, which means 3 notes, is 1, 3, 5. In your scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5. Played together makes a major triad. If you flat the 3, 1, 3, 5, 3, make it minor. That's a minor chord. Okay, there's a major and minor triad. Okay, then if you sharp the 5, that's called an augmented chord. Okay, it's an augmented triad. If you add a 7, a dominant 7, it's the flat 7th note, and it's always referred to as a 7. So it wouldn't be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's called a major 7. Dominant 7 is here. So now you have a dominant 7, a 3, and a 5. We lost the root. Well, let's reach over and get the root. Oh, there's a root down here. Look, that chord shape has all that in it. So let's discuss what that's about. Let's look at the chord shape and see what matches up with our page on reading chord symbols. Okay, we have a root here is at the bottom. So we can play the E form because this is an E form chord. Let's play the E form scale shape and count the notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Now, of course, we don't use 15 as an octave point. There's certain notes we always say are 1s, 3s, and 5s, because that's what they are. Unless something's been altered, we don't use the notes in the second octave. We don't use the numbers. The numbers we do use are 9, 11, and 13, right? And why do we do that? What has to be present for those other notes to be something other than 2, 4, and 6?
A 7.
A 7 has to be present. It cues the ear as to where the octave point is. So when we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The numbers are still octave numbers until you harmonize the chord different than just a basic triad. So when you start harmonizing the chord and making it more, more profundo, more lush, or you want a certain tone to it so it changes the emotion of your listener, or it reflects your emotion. Like if I play, probably have the blues, but you can probably tell that's going to be something I have intent, because I now have a dominant 7 and a 1 and a 3. Those are the only 3 notes I'm playing. They're very essential. But let's look at the whole chord. Let's spell the whole chord. Let's be able to spell it. So let's go. Here's our first block is here. Our second block is here on the 2 frets up on the next string over. Our third block is back on this on the bar. So we got to figure out what note that is. And then the next block here is here. We're blocking the 3rd string with the 2nd finger, 1 fret up from the bar. Then we've got the pinky 2 frets up from the bar, and then we're back to the bar on the top string. So let's figure out what those notes are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's our first block. Hey, power chord. We're back to power chords. Okay, 1, 5. Sorry, didn't mean to digress. 1, 5. What's the next note? Wow, let's count up to there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's a flat 7. What is that again? Dominant 7. So we have 1, 5, dominant 7, or most of the time only in theory would you say this, or if you're with your buddies and you're calling changes on a bandstand, you say dominant, so they know. If you say 7, what 7? You know, you need to know. So say dominant, or you say major. That way it's shorthand, and you can say it quietly, and people in the audience don't hear you calling changes. Another little secret. So 1, 5, dominant 7. There's 1 again, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 9, 2, 3. So we got 1, 2, 1, 5, dominant 7, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. So remember, 1s and 3s and 5s are always 1, 3s and 5s. So we have 1, 5, dominant 7, 3, 5. We're not going to play that note. We're going to block it here. So on that string, we actually block that with our pinky. That's a 6, right? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But since we've got the 7 in between it, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So it's now, the 6 is now 13 because of the presence of the dominant 7. And the top note's a 1. 5 is a 1. So you have 1 dominant 7, 1, 5 dominant 7, 3, 6, and 1, which makes it again 7 and 6 are 13. Yeah, simple math. It's not harder than that. Simple math. When you have a 9, what do you have?
7 and a 2.
7 and a 2. Yeah. You have a sus 11. What do you have?
You have a 7 and a
4. Correct. Right. And you don't have a 3 because you used the word sus.
Yeah. Just play that.
What
does that sound like?
Well, and again, a sus 11 would sound like this, or in this case, in a G. It's been a hard day's night if you listen to the Beatles and you're into old music. With that, resolve. I just moved the 4 back to the 3. I suspended the 3 and put the 4 in its place. I added a dominant 7, which made the 4 an 11 in the chord symbol. You just need to know what those notes are in your scales. If you're not familiar enough with your scales and you don't know your notes, as far as interval numbers, you haven't taken your second test. Remember, these tests are self-tests. You need to take them, and you need to keep evaluating where you're at so you can discuss these things with other players. Sometimes you'll be working on a gig, and you'll need to know some real specifics as to what you're playing. You know, and the guys that play at the higher levels, the people that are your heroes, believe me, they all have language that allows them to discuss these things when they're playing. They'd never do that in front of you like what we're doing here, because that's part of our mystery. And that's the whole point about dispelling some of the mysteries of guitar. It's not a mystery if you understand the language. And that's true of piano, trumpet, saxophone, whatever. So let's spell the C chord that we play there. We play a C9. Must have a dominant 7 and a 2 in it. Let's figure out where those are. Okay, so let's play the C shape as a scale. So 1, 2, 3. So we got 1 and 3 right there, right? When we're playing the chord, right? There's that dominant 7. So it's 1, 3, dominant 7, 1, 2. So it's 7 and 2 is right there. So we have the lowest note. If you're playing the lowest note on the unit and you're actually picking up the 2 bottom strings, it's a 5, 1, 3, dominant 7, 2, 5. So usually when you're playing, if you're playing with a bass player or another guitar player, you typically don't play the bottom 5th, but you can. If you're playing by yourself and you're playing kind of old swing, you tend to pick up all that stuff. You make it real thumpy, so you work with the bass player. It's the style that you play that changes which notes you use and how you play them. You know, they're still the same notes. All the notes are based in scales. All the chords are based in scales, and all of the chord sequences are based in the numbers we use to describe the scale tones, 1 through 8. And if you are writing Roman numerals, that's the old way. Nowadays, they just use regular numbers, and that gets a little confusing. If you write 2 minor 7, that looks a little odd. You know, I'd rather see D minor 7 if you're in the key of C, you know, or I'd see a Roman numeral. It's easier for me to read. You know, that's always easier. But again, when you go to Nashville, they don't do Roman numerals, and that's okay too. Those guys have got the right number system, and it's just as viable just because it's a little different nomenclature. It keeps a different group of people out. It's to eliminate them, not to include them. It's to make sure you pass muster. And again, don't forget to get your evaluations. If some of this stuff seems strange, you don't understand it, you haven't looked at the rest of the of your ebook. So dig into those parts, go back and look at what's going on in the first 3 terms. Because this information is in the first 3 terms if you've studied. And again, you advanced students that have gotten the lifetime membership, or you've done an eval with one of us and we said, why don't you go ahead and get at least, buy into the number 4 membership, level 4, level 3, level 4 membership, which is your pro membership. You'll have access to everything except the really super advanced stuff. You've got to go to lifetime to get that. And it's not a lot more money. It's actually worth it. But you got to remember, when you get all this information, you're going to have to sift through the stuff you don't know. Because you've probably been doing that all along. You've been going for really getting the juice the best you can and not finding out where the tree is. You need to find the tree where all the fruit is so you get all the juice. So that's what we try to bring to you, is all the juice. So we've talked about spelling the chords. We just spelled a couple of those chords there so we know what they are in their different shapes. That G13 is an E-shaped chord. And if you take a look at what I call the Duplo grids, the big grids that is in your dictionary, that's again your electronic dictionary, you can have you have access to that if you've got the poster. If you don't have the poster, again, the poster is electronics, an e-poster, but you also get a suitable for framing 20 by 35 inch poster you can put on your wall that has a lot of the grids and a lot of the explanations are right there in front of you, so you can proudly display it. Hopefully at home. It's always fun to have a poster you can say, hey, let's play that chord, and it works right there. Look at there. There's a thing that tells me that. I didn't know that before I had the poster. Well, it's interactive on your laptop and on your tablet. So get that and study that. Take a look at that. That's important. That's what we study in the third term, second, third term, is how these chords fit together.